Hello everyone, and welcome to another Python lesson for beginners, which I'm going to show you guys variables, and particularly there are strings and numbers. So I'm going to start with strings. In a previous video, I introduced you guys to the lesson of Hello World, where you just simply print out a string, and in single or double quotation marks, you will type out what you want to print out when you run the code. So here if I print out Hello World, or I can also print out a number like 5, but it's not technically a number because it is in quotation marks. So when I run the code, you see both of them are being printed out. However, with this lesson being for variables, we're going to assign Hello World a statement like greeting. So greeting is the variable, and we're going to have that equal to the single quotation marks of Hello World. In the next line, I'm going to then print out greeting. So it might use an extra line, but it's much more helpful when you work on longer codes where you don't want to have to worry about printing out Hello World every time, where instead you can just have the placeholder of greeting. Now, let's get into numbers. So numbers are pretty interesting, where there's two types. There's integers, which are like whole numbers, and then there's floats, and floats include decimal values. So for simple, let's just print out 5, and as you see, it's blue, and it doesn't need single or double quotation marks, which signifies that it is an integer or a float, as well as 3.14, so pi. So these are just printing out the numbers. However, let's assign these variables. So let's say we have an integer number, and that's going to be equal to our 5, since it's a whole number, and then our float number is going to be the variable, and that's going to be equal to 3.14. And like I did in the strings, I'm just going to print out integer number and float number just to show you guys the simplicity of utilizing variables and how they can correlate with the variable and the integer or number. Now let's quiz you a little bit. So let's say if I do print, and then I'm going to type float, and this is going to convert float, whatever I have in the parentheses, to a float. So if I print out float and then an integer number, which is 5, it's actually going to convert that integer to a float. So as you see, when I run the code, it's not 5, it's actually 5.0. And let's do the same for the float number. So let's do int, which is short for integer, and then I'm going to have float number. So it converts the 3.14 and rounds that to the closest whole number. I hope you guys enjoyed this video introducing you guys to strings and numbers. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content.